Oh boy, that has been a nightmare to deal with. So I apologize to everybody for that. Apparently, I'm having a lot of issues with YouTube today, so I'm not sure what's going. Wow. Okay. Apparently, YouTube has just completely crashed me out of streaming as well. Oh, it's because what am I doing? What am I doing, folks? I don't know. I'm switching my YouTube account around and I've totally just bonkered everything up. So give me just a second. I apologize for that. I am live now. Yes, I am. Here we go. Okay, I can get back to it. Yes, okay. Good to go. I am so sorry about all of those issues. I think I might have them sorted out. I guess we'll find out. I had apparently 2 Stream Elements plugins installed. Now I have only one. Not sure how that happened. Let's get back into the article for today. Apologize about the issues with OBS. Thanks for chilling out and hanging out with me today still. Okay. Digging back in here. I was talking about before the stream crashed on me in the last stream how there is a positive thing about being aware of where your time and energy is going in the day. Sometimes productivity software can help you with this. This is why people install things like rescue time on their devices so you can understand, where am I spending my time? Where is it going? So you can make conscious decisions. It's why screen time exists on Apple devices and why Google has a thing too. You can understand where your time is going in the day on your devices. But also there's a value in being able to make those decisions for yourself. However, where I think it crosses the line is when an employer starts to use this as a replacement for being a manager or having a real manager. So it's, I think, quite a dangerous thing to do. And it really, as we've been talking about, is quite toxic. I think this is something too to draw. Hey, Rhonda, welcome to the stream today. Um, Having a tool that's going to monitor you is going to create this tension in the back of your mind, and anxiety will fill in. Like, oh, am I being productive? Am I being productive? It's like you're constantly being monitored. You're constantly being watched. I'm just not a fan of that. And if a workplace that I work for implements something like this, I'd probably quit, frankly, because this is exactly against my value system. I value people being trusted, not monitored and micromanaged by technology. Technology is a tool that's there to help us do more, not a tool that's there to manage people for us. Obviously, you have to monitor work that's getting done. You have to measure progress and productivity. You do. I'm not saying you don't have to, but you got to measure the right things. And measuring an individual's times and activity at a computer is the wrong metric to measure. The wrong one. Part of this, I think, comes down to is we just don't trust each other anymore as people. We're always worried about getting screwed over. And that's a problem. Wow, I'm only halfway through the article. So there are no workplace laws here in a lot of places, and that's a huge red flag. But let's be honest, technology has had an incredibly difficult time, or laws have had an incredibly difficult time keeping up with technology. It's just the state of the world. Yep. Moving a whole lot faster than the government can regulate it. Yeah, Rhonda, you're exactly right. Rhonda's saying, I know we have some sort of control on the background, but honestly, I tell my direct reports, if you put me in a position that I have to monitor your work, we already have a problem. That's 100% true. Like, if you have to monitor your employees' work, it becomes a problem immediately. Um, it means that there is an already an existing issue. In the past, I've had to monitor employees' work when I've been a manager, um, but it was because there were already performance issues there. We had metrics in place. We had defined expectations about what was proper, what was supposed to be happening, but that unfortunately did not, cause them to put the effort in to get to that point. Now, to this person's benefit, with some coaching and direct mentorship and some serious heart-to-heart conversations, they turn their productivity around. But when we just say, oh, you're not meeting numbers, you don't have a job, or you're not meeting numbers, you're not productive enough during the day, you don't get paid for that time, that's just hyper protectionist from an employer standpoint, and it's not investing in people. This is not leadership. This is not leadership. This is treating people like cogs in a machine. Sure. Here's a yeah. So that's the article. Definitely recommend having a read through it if you haven't already yourself. There's less like here's a gold nugget of helpful information in there, and more of a, oh my gosh, this is a important thing we need to be aware of. If you have any decision making authority whatsoever in an organization who is looking at using a surveillance based remote work tool like Time Doctor or something like that, be really careful. You are going to, yes, potentially in the short term, improve productivity, improve throughput, but in the long term, you're going to burn your workers out. You're going to create an environment where, as Simon Sinek talks about it, there is no circle of safety. Everybody is just out for themselves, trying to be productive, trying to be on task, and it's going to fall apart. I know, yeah, if I were to work in a company like that, I would probably quit immediately if I knew that people were tracking my productivity. Not that I'm an incredibly hard worker. I get my work done. But if you're not willing to trust me to get my work done, especially at the point in career that I am at, I'm sorry. Like, that is a significant problem. And that shows that a workplace's culture is really off base in today's day and age. Yes, just because we have the power to do something with technology does not mean that we should do it. That's the thesis behind Cal Newport's book, Digital Minimalism, and I think it 100% applies in this context as well. Kind of moving on, though, for right now. Thankfully, I've got my OBS issues sorted out for today. Again, if you were watching earlier, sorry about that. I appreciate the fact that you are sticking around the stream here. But Obsidian just released, I believe, 2 days ago, the 0.16 update for the software to insiders. So we're going to take a look at that for just a couple of moments here. I want to highlight a couple of things that are different about it. First and foremost, as we dive in here, you can see that there's a brand new look and feel to Obsidian. The Capano, I think the guy's name is, or at least his handle. He is the creator of the minimal theme, if you've used that before. He created a brand new default theme for Obsidian. And I actually kind of like it. It's really nice and clean. There's some new buttons up here, new icons in places for the different, the different buttons around here. So there's different sidebar buttons up here on the top left and top right. There are some UI things that are a little goofy here. Like you can see this up in the top here is covered up by the buttons. You can change this with a setting. I just haven't done it because I like the look of this overall. There's some weird things with the bubbles around tags right now. Like you can see there's a little visual glitch here. They overlap each other. One thing that's neat about this too is that if you go into the appearance settings, you can choose an accent color. So the default is the Obsidian purple, but say if I want to turn this to like a nice bold blue, it'll change all the button and highlight colors to that without ever having to touch a theme. All the background colors here, the link colors, the active colors are all changed as well. Really super fun. If you don't want to use a different theme, you don't have to. You can get this little bit of customization in your vault using the default theme. This will eventually apply to custom themes as well if they implement support for it. I would imagine there's a little selector on these that changes, or a little CSS rule that changes. A theme might be able to override that or not support it as well. Just be aware of that. Also know too that in your command palette, there is a new command called change theme, where right from the command palette, you can change to different themes. And as you scroll, you can see it automatically loads them, which is really kind of fun. You can see too, as we scroll through here, that there are some challenges with these themes. This is the Things theme by Colin Eckert. Colin's watched these streams before a number of times, which is awesome. I love to have him around here. This theme is one of my favorites, but as a result of the base theme changes, I know there are still some updates that he has to do. There's some wonky stylings and stuff with that, but that's all right. That's to be expected with the base styling change overall. But I'm a big fan of this change. I think it adds some nice variety to Obsidian. It makes Obsidian feel like a less utilitarian and more forward-thinking application. It's always been forward-thinking, but the design of the app just kind of felt a little dated to start off with. So I'm a fan of this. I like it a lot. The other big change in 0.162 is the addition of tabs. So now instead of having one note per pane, because there's still panes as well. We'll get into that in just a second. But you now have tabs. So I can open up this tab here. I can go into my inbox. I can open up this note. I can also split from this, and you can see that it doesn't just split it into a pane, it splits it into a tab within the pane. So each pane is a set of tabs, which I think is really handy. You can have multiple notes across multiple tabs in multiple panes that you're working on. You can move them around pretty easily. You can drag and drop just like you would in Google Chrome or Firefox or Safari. You can also move it to a brand new window. And this is something that's newer in Obsidian too. You can open a pane and it pops open in a window like this. Now, the one thing with these windows is that they don't have the sidebar, so you're not getting a full Obsidian experience. I believe this is similar to the behavior that like Things 3 has, where you can open up a new window. Now, for whatever reason, that window actually crashed on me just now, so there's an interesting bug with that. But you can open it up in a new window. You just get that thing in a window. You don't get all the extra user interface with it, which is really helpful. A couple other changes with this too. If you right click and you use the split commands here, it's no longer split vertically or split horizontally. There is a bit of a challenge with that, trying to understand where it goes. I always mess it up too. So now in order to remove that ambiguity, the developers have changed the language. It just is split right, which splits the pane to the right of the current pane, or split down to below the current pane. That's really helpful. I think that's a really nice user experience thing to add to the software. The other thing as well is they've consolidated keyboard shortcuts for opening new panes. So Control or Command click opens up in a new tab. If you want to open up in a new pane, it's Control Alt click, which I did that wrong again. Control Alt click. There we go. I mess it up on this keyboard because I'm not used to using it. I'm on Mac primarily, and I'm on Windows for my streaming PC, so I always mess that one up. And then if you want to open it up into a new window, it's Control Alt Shift click. So you can see as I bring it on to the screen here that opens up in a brand new window. We'll do that again here because I can show you as well that you can drag panes from window, or you can drag tabs from window to window. Oh, there that one is. It just went to the back. So you can drag a pane around to different windows or a tab from different windows, which is really nice. You can do that. Makes sense because essentially Obsidian is just a web app in a web browser wrapper Electron. So that makes a lot of sense that works that way. But that's a lot of the changes with Obsidian in 0.16. I think this is a really helpful, one of the bigger changes for Obsidian since the live preview editor launched. Live preview was, I think, the biggest change that Obsidian has made since launch. There's been a lot of incremental improvements, but this new default theme, tabs, and then the windowing that's now available, probably the number 2 largest change to the app since it launched in 2020. One of the big things that this does allow for, though, is better control of themes. So themes can now more accurately modify the software without having to hack things around, because the user interface was restructured in a way and the CSS was restructured in a way to allow theme developers to do that. So I'm really hoping that this opens up some unique things, unique opportunities for theme creators to make some cool stuff too. Rhonda's saying in the chat, thanks for bringing up Obsidian. I stopped for a bit and then went to Logseek and now using Craft. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different applications out there that just really work depending on your use case. I've stuck with Obsidian for the last 2 years, more than 2 years now, because it just makes sense with the way that I think and way that I work. I knew at the instant that I started using this app that this was the thing that I wanted to use. It just checked all the boxes. Does it work for everything that I need for PKM? No, it doesn't handle PDFs amazingly for like a file cabinet. Doesn't do OCR. Can't use it for that. You can use it for a productivity system, but I don't think it's in an optimal state to do so because you have to rely on third-party plugins to make that work in an effective way. I think for a short term, I think productivity in Obsidian works really well, or even just on a day-to-day basis. But if you're doing anything long-term, you're trying to cache stuff in there, or trying to build a trusted system inside of Obsidian for a getting things done style, productivity, task manager, project manager, things like that, I think I think it's maybe you can try it, but I agree with like David Sparks on this. Trying to build a system that you want yourself to use for 3, 4, 5 years or more. I just maybe don't trust it that much for that. Rhonda's mentioning Craft has Obsidian beat when it comes to visually appealing. Yes, it does. Craft, if you're on Mac OS, iOS, iPad OS, Craft is probably the app to use for that. So open up the browser again here. It is nice. I mean, it is a nice app. One of the downsides, though, and this is something that's kind of irked me a lot with productivity tools these days, apps that people are using, is that they're almost always getting co-opted for collaboration uses. So I understand that where the money is at is with businesses, but every application seems to be going the direction of, hey, let's build this thing around teamwork. That's our business use case for this app. And if you use it as an individual, great. That's great. You just don't need the collaboration stuff. It does kind of irk me though that everything is built around collaboration. And I think this is why I'm drawn to tools that are not at times, because for myself, I don't need that all of the time. I don't need the collaboration tools inside of Todoist or Craft. I do in other tools, though, for specific use cases like Notion. My wife and I are starting to use that to manage some stuff in our household, which is really great. It works really well for that. But Craft is fantastic looking. I mean, it's like if you took Notion, a lot of the page features that Notion has, and then put it in a even nicer wrapper that's available just on Mac OS and in the Apple ecosystem, you really have a good solution there. So that's really a lot of it. You obviously Craft is all about creating documents, but yeah, it's just a writing tool in my mind so you can organize nicely. I like how they compare this to Google Docs here, the screenshot, but makes it look a bit nicer. You can organize it a little bit better. You can have sections that you can go into. Pretty cool. You can use it on the web now too, which is also really nice for folks who need it not in the macOS ecosystem. So I forgot that you could do that now. Craft is great. The other one that we looked at a couple weeks ago was Mem. Yeah, Rhonda, absolutely. You should be able to. Actually, hold on a second here. If you are interested in sending me an email, you can just email me right now at hello.thinkeffective.co. I've got to change that on my website. I just have been getting email set up properly on my new domain. It's taken a while because I've had things. But, Mem is also a new app that I know Francesco D'Alessio, Tiago Forte say, it's going to be the next Evernote. But this is, again, it's all built around collaboration. Sure, there are cases where you probably want to do that, but everything seems to be a tool for teamwork these days and not necessarily a solo place to do stuff, which just means I think the user interface can get a little noisy for individual use cases. I do like how ClickUp has handled this. ClickUp is interesting because you can actually set up ClickUp for solo use. There is a pre-configured thing that you can just click on when you are setting up ClickUp to say remove all of the teamwork tools. And I think that was a really smart idea. Yes, ClickUp is a powerful project management software. There's a lot of different stuff you can do in it. You can track in it. It's can be a little kludgy and clunky sometimes. However, if all you're using it for is for yourself, you don't need all the collaboration stuff. And so you can turn it all off. It's all still there. You can get access to it if you need to, but the user interface there is so customizable that you can just get rid of all of it. And I think that is an amazing approach to it. I wish a lot of other apps would take that approach. Yeah, because it's building about teams. Let's see, ClickUp. Personal space, personal productivity. I actually think of ClickUp as this is what is interesting here. ClickUp is if you took Notion and instead of building it around the page paradigm, you built it around the table paradigm. There's still the ability to take notes in there, write documents, and do things like that. But as you can see here, even just in this little video GIF thing, these aren't tasks. This is them tracking information about marketing campaigns. You can see what channel belongs to, the conversion rate of those, the different metrics. You can add whatever you want to inside of ClickUp. But then you can also track your tasks and manage projects in there as well. It's really, really quite handy to do that. I tried it for my own personal task management for a while, and I thought it worked all right. It just got to be a little much for me to manage on my own because I didn't have a lot of stuff to manage in there. And so I think I really like ClickUp's approach to this, being able to turn off all the collaboration features, but not many tools are doing that. They're marketing to businesses, and if they can get you on the freemium version as an individual, great, because they know that if you go to a business and say, hey, I know this tool, we can use Craft to do this, or we can use Notion, we can use ClickUp for this, Asana, then they know they have an advocate already that knows the software in those businesses. That's how they make their money. But yeah, I like the fact that Obsidian has not taken the, hey, business collaboration is the core part of our business model approach. It's one of the only pieces of software, other than maybe OmniFocus or things, that has taken that approach at this point. I don't know. Let me know if you know of any others in the chat. I would love to hear if you know of anything else. Yeah. One thing here too, by the way, while you're on the stream here, I want to let you know that Obsidian Made Simple V2 is coming soon. We've got modules ready. We're getting everything prepped. It's going to be probably another month or so before it's out. But I wanted to let you know too that we now have a free guide available that's taken from Obsidian Made Simple's V2 version. So if we head on over to thinkeffective.co/5q, I'll put a link in the chat for you as well, and I will pull it up on screen here. I did a module inside of Obsidian Made Simple about an introduction to PKM. Because there's a lot with a PKM that can seem a little daunting. It's a very broad space. There's tons of people who talk about different things with PKM. They use different terminology for it. And so really, this one is, I think, one of the best videos from the version 2 release of Obsidian Made Simple. I wanted to make it available for free for members at thinkeffective.co. So if you sign up, you'll get access to this module, all of our other free guides for members, and then also you'll get our weekly Toolbox Tips newsletter where we aim to add more productivity tools to your toolbox. And so this is a video. It's called 5Q up here, the URL, because there's 5 questions that you can ask yourself in the process of choosing a PKM app that I think really help narrow down the field and help you understand why you're making that decision. So that it's not just like, oh, Craft has a great feature set, or oh, Obsidian has a great feature set. It's really trendy. Notion, I'm seeing all this cool stuff people are doing at that. You got to take a step back and start asking yourself questions like, what problems are you trying to solve? What system are you looking to build? what are the types of features that you need to solve those problems, because it's really easy to just jump around. So this is a video straight from the course that's available for free. When version 2 is live of Obsidian Made Simple, I will send an email out to everybody that is subscribed to the newsletter as a member. So if you're interested in purchasing it at that time, you definitely can do so. But I just did want to make you aware that this is a brand new guide that we've released. We've got some videos coming out over the next couple of weeks where we're going to be sharing this a bit more up until the launch of version 2 of Obsidian Made Simple. I've got some fun stuff talking about my PKM workflow, why I'm loving Obsidian still, in 2022, what makes it really the app for me for taking notes in most of my PKM systems, and more. So just wanted to let you know of some stuff coming up over the next few weeks. I'm really excited to share it with you. And with that, I'm going to open some questions before we end the stream today. Does anybody have any productivity questions, or curious about anything with Obsidian? I will just start by talking a little bit. One change I've made to my workflow, two changes I've been making to my workflow over the last few weeks. One, I have fully committed to using DevonThink for my documentation repository. I'll probably start indexing my Obsidian Vault in there as well, just for fun. But this is where I'm going to be using, like, scanning in paperless stuff. I've got a ScanSnap scanner right there on my desk over there. Just getting all that loaded up into DevonThink, because I think that's just the best place to put that type of documentation. It OCR stuff. It does a great job of finding duplicates. I love DevonThink for that. It is a bit of a spendy application. I think it's about $200 for the version that comes with OCR. But I think it's well worth it, especially considering that the real only alternative out there, other than rolling your own system, is Evernote. And Evernote runs, what does Evernote run these days? I think it runs about $80. Yeah, it's about $10 a month. So if we pay yearly, it's $100 a year now. So looking at that real quick. Oh, and I can get 50% off a professional plan today if I sign up today. No thanks, not going to do it. I did that a long time ago. And Evernote was great. It used to be the de facto standard for scanning stuff in and storing it, creating your own digital file cabinet. But it's just, to me, hasn't kept up. And so this is why I've fully committed to DevonThink. The other thing that's really quite interesting, that's been a change of pace for me, is that I am experimenting using OmniFocus again for my task manager. There is a reason for this. It's because I'm moving into a new role where I feel like my time is going to be a heck of a lot less spent in maker mode. My career for the last 4 years has been probably 80 to 90% of my time is in maker mode, spending time focusing on one thing at a time and really diving into that, whether it's in software development or marketing or content creation. So much of it was in maker mode. I feel like in this job, though, my job is going to spend a lot of time shifting between those two, like maker mode for probably 50% of the time, manager mode for maybe the other 50% of the time. And I know from prior experience that I need probably more of a solid GTD style system where I'm capturing little things as I go. I'm making lists of emails that I need to come back to, or things of that sort. I'm going to need to figure out a workflow again for this. And I think OmniFocus, even though I've come out and said, like, I'm not a huge fan of the user interface, it does feel a little dated in today's day and age, especially even with like Things 3 in comparison, which came out in a similar time frame. Things 3's design has felt like it stayed up to date, but OmniFocus's has not. It feels like it's kind of gone out of favor. It feels more utilitarian in nature than it does aesthetic, which is fine. Like it suits to an individual's purpose. But I really think OmniFocus does some of the best job at building a getting things done style system. And then also too, it's kind of what I started off with. And so I've been really going back to the basics, back to foundations the last couple of weeks, really thinking through things, getting inspired by stuff again. Because honestly, I was getting into a bit of a funk with productivity. I was like, what is the point of a lot of this? What is the point of building a productivity system, of using a task manager, of having a PKM app? What is the point of it? And I was just kind of losing vision with it. And so I've had to take a step back, figure out what's driving me to do this, what gets me excited about this, and why am I using productivity? I had to catch the vision again. And part of that has been going back to the foundations for me. And OmniFocus, I think, is one of those tools that's helping me get to that point. If I stick with it long term, I don't know. But at least for now, I think OmniFocus is a positive choice for me. Surprising enough to say that, actually. But I really think it's a positive choice for me going forward. And with that, I think I'm going to wrap up the stream today. I've got a few other things that I'm getting done. I'm starting a new job next week, and so there's a lot of stuff going on around here. School year is starting. Lots of changes happening at home as a result of that. And so got a lot of stuff going on this afternoon. But thanks so much for tuning into this stream. I will say that because I'm starting a new job, I don't know what my schedule is going to look like for being able to stream going forward. So be watching the newsletter. Sign up for the newsletter, thinkeffective.co/5Q if you want to get that free video from Obsidian made simple. I'll let you know too on that weekly newsletter when we're launching content, doing live streams, things of that sort. But thanks so much for joining today. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you for being a part of this, going on this productivity journey together. I'll catch you in the next stream, whenever that might be. But until then, stay effective in the meantime. Thanks, everybody.